Imagine walking into a company for a meeting you were personally invited to, only to be told, "Get lost, people like you don't belong here." That's exactly what happened to Monica Carter, a billionaire CEO. The receptionist thought she was just some nobody, but within an hour, Monica would drop a bomb so powerful, it destroyed their entire company. This is a story of disrespect, revenge, and the sweet taste of justice. Get lost. People like you don't belong here. The words hit the air like poison, sharp and cold. Monica Carter froze at the entrance of Harrison & Cole Industries, a towering glass building that gleamed under the morning sun. She had walked in with the kind of confidence only years of hard work and success could bring. Dressed in a tailored navy blue suit, her laptop bag resting firmly on her shoulder, she was the very image of authority. Yet, to the young receptionist sitting behind the sleek marble desk, none of that mattered. The receptionist leaned back in her chair, arms crossed, eyes narrowed with a smug expression. She didn't even give Monica a chance to speak. The arrogance in her tone wasn't just casual, it was dripping with something uglier. Assumptions. Prejudice. Dismissal. Monica, unfazed, gave a polite smile. "I have a scheduled meeting with your board of directors." But the receptionist waved her hand, as though brushing away a fly. "Ma'am, I don't know who you think you are, but we don't let random people just stroll in here. Applications are taken online. And if you're here for a delivery, you need to use the service entrance." The insult was clear. The assumption was louder than the receptionist's voice: Monica didn't belong. Not in this building. Not in this world of money, power, and influence. For a brief second, Monica thought about pulling out her phone to show the official email from the board of directors. She could have easily explained that they had invited her. She could have given her full title, CEO of Carter Global Enterprises, one of the fastest growing tech and logistics companies in the country. But instead, she stayed silent. Something in her gut told her to watch, to let this play out. To see just how deep the disrespect ran. The receptionist sighed dramatically, her fingers clicking against the keyboard in irritation. "Listen, I'm not going to say it again. You're not authorized to be here. Leave before I call security. We don't need any trouble." Monica studied her carefully. The young woman clearly thought she held power to decide who could walk past that front desk, who was worth listening to, and who was worth dismissing. But Monica knew the truth: real power didn't sit at a front desk. Real power was built in boardrooms, on late nights of strategy, on years of sacrifice, on resilience when the world tried to shut you out. And Monica Carter had that power. If the receptionist only knew that the woman standing before her was worth millions. If she only knew that Forbes had ranked Monica among the top black CEOs in the country. If she only knew that Carter Global Enterprises didn't just compete with companies like Harrison & Cole, it was capable of swallowing them whole. But Monica didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Because in less than an hour, she would sit across from Harrison & Cole's directors, men who were desperate for her money, desperate for her approval. And in that moment, she would remember this receptionist's smirk. She adjusted her bag strap and looked around the lobby. It was polished, impressive at first glance, shiny floors, gold-plated company logos, expensive art hanging on the walls. But Monica knew from experience that appearances could be deceiving. Just like this building, Harrison & Cole was pretending to be stronger than it actually was. And just like this receptionist, the company had no idea that the very person they were dismissing was the one who held their fate. For now, Monica simply smiled, a calm, almost knowing smile, and stood silently. She wasn't in a rush. Because soon, everyone in this building would learn exactly who she was. And the receptionist? She would realize her mistake in the most painful way possible. Because Monica Carter wasn't just anyone. She wasn't lost, she wasn't a delivery worker, and she most certainly wasn't unauthorized. She was the CEO of Carter Global Enterprises, a billion-dollar empire with influence that stretched across industries. And before the sun set that day, she would hold the future of Harrison & Cole in the palm of her hand. As Monica stood silently in that polished lobby, Holding her ground against the receptionist's arrogance, her mind wandered back to where it had all begun. South Side, Chicago. Her neighborhood wasn't filled with skyscrapers and polished floors like Harrison and Cole's building. It was rows of worn-down houses, cracked sidewalks, and streetlights that flickered more than they shined. She was raised by her mother, Angela Carter, a strong woman who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Angela cleaned offices at night and worked at a grocery store during the day. Sleep was a luxury. But she always made sure Monica had what mattered most: discipline, courage, and a vision of something greater. Monica never forgot her mother's words: "Don't ever let people tell you where you belong. You decide that for yourself." School wasn't easy. From a young age, Monica faced low expectations. Teachers often looked at her and assumed she'd struggle, that she'd fade into the background. When she answered questions correctly, some were surprised, as though they hadn't expected brilliance from her. Even classmates mocked her for dreaming too big. But Monica didn't let it stop her. While other kids played after school, she buried herself in books. She read everything she could get her hands on: business, science, leadership, history. She wasn't just studying for grades, she was preparing herself for a future nobody else could see. In high school, she landed a part-time job bagging groceries. Most kids would have hated it, but Monica used it to study how the store was run. She noticed which products sold fastest, how supply trucks came in, and how managers handled budgets. Without realizing it, she was training her mind to see opportunity. When she earned a scholarship to college, people whispered behind her back. Some said she only got it because of diversity programs. Others doubted she'd survive the pressure. Monica proved them all wrong. She worked harder than anyone else, late nights in the library, early mornings in study halls. She didn't just want a degree. She wanted knowledge that could change lives. After graduation, Monica didn't take the easy route of joining an established corporation. Instead, she started small, a neighborhood delivery service. While big companies ignored the poor and middle-class communities, Monica saw their needs. She borrowed a beat-up van, hired 2 friends, and began delivering groceries and essentials to families who didn't have easy access to them. It wasn't glamorous. Sometimes she made barely enough to cover gas. But word spread, people trusted her, because she cared. That tiny business became the seed of something greater. Within a few years, Monica scaled up. She invested in better vehicles, smarter routes, and eventually, cutting-edge technology that used data to streamline deliveries. Her company expanded from groceries to medical supplies, office essentials, and beyond. She wasn't just running trucks, she was building a logistics empire. But Monica didn't stop there. She saw where the world was heading: automation, artificial intelligence, renewable energy. While competitors were still clinging to outdated methods, she poured resources into innovation. Carter Global Enterprises became a leader in tech-driven logistics and green energy solutions. And through it all, Monica carried the lessons of her childhood: resilience, vision, and self-belief. She never forgot what it felt like to be underestimated, dismissed, told she didn't belong. Now, as she stood in that lobby facing a receptionist who looked at her with the same doubt she'd faced her entire life, Monica wasn't angry. She was almost amused. Because this was nothing new. She had been told you don't belong since she was a child. But every time someone said it, she carved out her own space, bigger and stronger than before. And today, she wasn't just proving she belonged. She was about to prove that she owned the room. The clicking of heels echoed against the marble floors as Monica followed the senior executive into the elevator. The receptionist who had mocked her earlier sat frozen at her desk, her face drained of color. She had just overheard the executive warmly greet Monica with, "Miss Carter, we're so honored to have you here. The board has been eagerly waiting for you." The doors closed, and Monica allowed herself the faintest smile. She didn't need to say a word, the look on the receptionist's face said it all. When the elevator doors opened, Monica stepped into the top floor of Harrison and Cole Industries. The atmosphere was completely different from the lobby, sleek conference rooms, walls of glass, city views stretching for miles. Men in suits bustled about, speaking in hushed tones. Every head turned as Monica walked in. Here, she wasn't invisible. Here, everyone knew who she was. The boardroom was massive, with a long polished table and leather chairs. The directors stood up immediately when she entered, eager smiles plastered on their faces. "Miss Carter, welcome. Please, have a seat. It's truly an honor to finally meet you in person. Can I offer you coffee? Tea? Sparkling water?" Their politeness almost made her laugh. Downstairs, she had been treated like a trespasser. Up here, she was treated like royalty. The contrast was glaring, and Monica didn't miss it for a second. She took her seat at the head of the table, her posture straight, her presence commanding. The directors launched into their presentation without wasting time. A large screen lit up with charts, graphs, and projections. One of the directors, a gray-haired man with too much confidence in his voice, spoke first. "As you can see, Harrison & Cole is positioned for explosive growth. With the right funding, we can double our market share in under 2 years. Your investment, Miss Carter, would give us the capital we need to expand into new markets. Together, we could dominate the industry." Another director chimed in, clicking through slides filled with numbers and jargon. "We've identified 3 major sectors ripe for disruption, and with Carter Global's backing, our combined forces would crush the competition. This is a golden opportunity, for both of us." Monica listened quietly, her expression unreadable. She'd been in dozens of meetings like this before. She knew the script. The confident voices, the exaggerated numbers, the promises that sounded too good to be true. She could almost predict their next sentence before they said it. And yet, she paid attention to every detail. She noticed the nervous twitch in one man's hand as he flipped through his notes. She caught the hesitation in another's voice when he mentioned projected profits. She saw through the glossy slides and polished words straight to the truth. Harrison & Cole was desperate. They needed her money like a drowning man needed air. When the presentation ended, the room fell into expectant silence. Every pair of eyes landed on Monica. They leaned forward, waiting for her approval, certain she would sign off on a deal that would save them. Monica leaned back in her chair, folded her arms, and allowed a long pause to hang in the air. She wanted them to sweat. Finally, she spoke. "Impressive presentation. I can see you put a lot of effort into it." A few directors smiled nervously, mistaking her words as a sign of agreement. But then her tone shifted, calm, sharp, and cutting. "But here's the problem. I don't invest in appearances. I invest in reality. And the reality is, your numbers don't add up." The room froze. One man shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Another cleared his throat. Monica continued, her voice steady and commanding. "Your technology is outdated. Your systems are inefficient. And from what I've seen in your financials, your so-called explosive growth is nothing more than smoke and mirrors. You're running on debt and denial." A heavy silence filled the room. The directors glanced at one another, unsure how to respond. Monica leaned forward, her gaze sweeping across the table. "You didn't call me here because you had a brilliant plan. You called me here because you're desperate. You thought my company's money could save you. But what you didn't consider is this: Carter Global doesn't need you. In fact, we're already years ahead of you." The words hit like thunder. The director's confidence shattered. Monica sat back in her chair, her presence filling the room with authority. For a long moment, nobody dared to speak. And that was exactly how she wanted it. Because in that silence, every man at that table realized the truth: Monica Carter wasn't there to save their company. She was there to decide its fate. The silence in the boardroom was heavy, so heavy you could almost hear the directors' hearts pounding. No one expected Monica to speak so bluntly. They had walked into this meeting certain she'd be their savior, but now, they were realizing they'd invited their greatest threat. Monica's voice sliced through the tension like a blade. Let me be absolutely clear, she said, locking eyes with the man who had led the presentation. You're not standing on the brink of expansion. You're standing on the brink of collapse. One director shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Another tried to open his mouth, but Monica raised a hand and continued. I did my research before I came here. Your debt-to-income ratio is unsustainable. Your client retention rate has been dropping for 2 straight years. And your so-called innovations? They're nothing but recycled ideas Carter Global perfected years ago. The directors stared at her, stunned. They weren't used to anyone speaking to them this way, especially not a woman, and certainly not a black woman who commanded more power than all of them combined. Monica leaned forward, her tone calm but firm. You don't just have a financial problem. You have a cultural problem. I was disrespected the moment I walked into your building. Do you know what that tells me? It tells me that the arrogance I saw at that front desk is the same arrogance sitting at this table. You don't respect people. Not your employees. Not your customers. And definitely not your partners. Her words landed like hammer blows, one after another. And here's the truth you've been avoiding: you don't need my investment. What you need is leadership. Vision. Integrity. But none of those things exist in this company. And without them, money won't save you. For a moment, Monica let the silence stretch again. Then she delivered the final strike. Carter Global will not be investing in Harrison and Cole. In fact, starting today, we'll be moving directly into your sector. Which means in a matter of months, your clients will be mine, your contracts will be mine, and your market share will belong to me. The directors sat frozen, their faces pale. The bomb had dropped, and their company's fate was sealed. The meeting was over. The boardroom that had once been filled with confident voices was now silent, its directors left staring at the polished table in defeat. Monica rose gracefully, gathering her laptop bag. Every movement she made carried authority, the kind that came from knowing she had just crushed the pride of an entire company without even raising her voice. As she stepped back into the elevator, the executives rushed to thank her for her time, but she simply nodded. She didn't need their gratitude. She already knew Carter Global would soon overshadow them in every way. When the elevator doors opened in the lobby, the receptionist was still at her desk. Her posture was stiff, her fingers frozen above her keyboard. The color had drained from her face hours ago, and her earlier arrogance had evaporated. Monica walked toward her, each step deliberate, heels echoing across the marble floor. The young woman finally looked up, her eyes wide with shame. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to speak, maybe to apologize, maybe to explain, but no words came out. Monica stopped just in front of the desk, leaned down slightly, and in a voice soft enough that only the receptionist could hear, she said, "Next time, be careful who you dismiss. Because the person you look down on might be the one who decides your company's future." She didn't wait for a response. With quiet dignity, Monica turned and walked out through the glass doors. 6 months later, Harrison and Cole was unrecognizable. Carter Global had rolled out groundbreaking technology that left their competitors scrambling. Clients abandoned Harrison and Cole in waves, preferring the efficiency and innovation Monica's company offered. Investors pulled out, stock prices plummeted, and within a year, the once proud corporation declared bankruptcy. As for Monica, she didn't just destroy a company, she built an empire even greater than before. To the world, she became a symbol of resilience and brilliance, a reminder that true power doesn't need to shout, it simply acts. And the receptionist? She was left with the hardest lesson of all: never underestimate someone based on assumptions. Because sometimes, the person you think doesn't belong, owns everything. And that's how one arrogant receptionist and a clueless board of directors lost everything by underestimating the wrong woman. Monica didn't just walk away, she walked out owning the future. What do you think? Did they deserve it? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell icon so you never miss another powerful story like this one.